Hello, little rats. Welcome back to another episode of Chatty Rats. I am your I was going to say co-star. I'm your co-host, Sheen, and I'm joined by
Natalia, welcome back.
I have missed you, Natalia. I'm so excited we're back in a rhythm.
I missed you too.
We were gone, we came back. We ghosted you. We ghosted you. But we won't be doing that in 2024. We're
We
gonna
will
be
not.
on.
We'll at least post about it if we have to run away.
Yeah,
I'm drinking my little kin. We love kin euphorics here, so I'm obsessed.
it's the best. But that's like a great little foreshadow of our topic today.
Yes.
How'd you know, Natalia? How did you know what we were gonna talk
It's
about?
almost like we talked about it for an hour before starting to record. It's so crazy. Which side note, before we get into the alcohol topic, I feel like every time I talk to you, I just get smarter. Like you're such a great conversationalist. Yes. So here are your
That's
flowers.
literally the best compliment you could give me. Thank you. I'm gonna like text my mom and be like, guess what Natalia said today?
Oh,
Like
I love
that's
it.
how good it is. So that's literally better than giving me any physical compliments. But
Perfect. I love your
thank you,
brain.
Natalia. I love your brain too. Our brains are always on the same page, which is so crazy because me and Natalia had the same epiphany at the same time while the holidays were happening. So we were just in different worlds, not totally communicating. So telepathically, we had the same thought on the same topic. And that beautiful topic is alcohol. So, as 2023 was wrapping up, I feel like I had a big epiphany of where I want my relationship with alcohol to be in 2024. And
Mhm.
it's been a huge change. It's crazy because me and Natalia started this podcast exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
And when we were in person recording, we both were like, oh, let's get like a drink. So we like went and got Topo Chico seltzers that had alcohol, and we decided to like film the show with alcohol. And I feel like us now, if we were together in person, we'd be like, what non-alcoholic drink are we gonna get? That would be so our thing. And we did record after that, and that's what we did. But it's
Yeah.
just so interesting in how less than a year both of our relationship with alcohol have changed and we live in different cities.
I know, that's so crazy. I remember, like, having a drink before podcasting or comedy before. I thought at least it, like, gave me a personality, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so
Yes.
funny, I'm so good."
It's so true. It felt like a need, but also habitual.
Yes.
That's the biggest takeaway I have. So I went on a trip to Guadalajara, which is in the Jalisco region of Mexico, and that region is where tequila is produced. They got all the blue agaves, that's where tequila comes from, and tequila, the city, is in that region too. So, it was really interesting because every time I usually go to Mexico, I drink a lot. It feels very habitual, but also they're on top of their craft cocktail game. They hold so many of the best bars in the world. So every time I go, I'm like, oh my God, I have to go. So this time around, I went and we did go to like one of the best bars in the world. And usually I would have like two or three drinks. This time I just had one. And I really, really enjoyed it. I was like, "Okay, this is a vibe." We went to dinner before, my friend got a drink, I didn't. Then the bar, I just got one drink, and I was like, "Okay, I'm vibing with this." Then a couple days later, we go to a tequila tasting and go to the city of tequila where we like learn
Ooh.
how tequila is produced and made, and he's like talking us through the whole process. He brings in a comparison saying how tequila here in Mexico is much lighter even in alcohol than the ones in the US. He's like, whenever I go to the US and I have one or two tequila drinks, I feel so drunk. I can't walk. Like, it's
Oh, wow.
crazy. So we were hearing that. And then it came time to the tasting. He's teaching us how to taste it, giving us the whole
Mm.
lowdown. And me and Michelle at the end of the tasting were like, whoa, if we had this much tequila in the US, we would be so drunk, but we just felt very normal. It just is so interesting how the US obviously is, and it
So, why do you think that is? So, like, I feel like every time you hear tequila in the US, it's like, let's black the fuck out. Like, let's get crazy. Why do you think our relationship to alcohol is so like, let's get wasted? That's the goal. If you don't feel it, quote unquote, like you're not doing enough. Why do you think that's the case? Because it sounds to me like when you were in Jalisco, it was like an art. Let me tell
it is an
you,
art.
and
Yeah.
it is, right? Like, it's like a very beautiful thing. It's called craft cocktails for a reason, right?
Yes. I was thinking about that a lot. I don't know where the root of our drinking culture comes from, but I do think it sets us up for failure because I think about the comparison to European culture as well, where parents will introduce wine at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And that makes it much more part of community and culture. Whereas the US, I think my introduction to alcohol was for me pretty young. It was in high school and it was like very common. Was it common at your high school?
I went to a Catholic high school, so there was, like, no
Oh.
drinking, and it wasn't even because it was not allowed, it just felt like nobody was doing it, so I my
Oh, okay,
experience is
that's
very
different.
different.
That
Yeah.
is very different. Yeah. So for us, it was I would say like junior, senior year that it would became very in the forefront. And then going to UCLA, such a heavy drinking culture.
Oh, yeah.
Such a heavy drinking culture. So I also wonder if it has to do with the fact that we repress ourselves. So it becomes this taboo thing until we're 21, but everyone's participating much younger. Whereas in Europe, it's 18, it's
Right.
introduced a lot earlier. They're not as crazed about it. I think our culture is where it's fucked up. That's my opinion, but
Yeah.
I can't tell what the root of our culture is besides, like, media and how alcohol is introduced.
Yeah, I mean, other than the fact that I do think it's glamorized, for me, like, I always think of Sex and the City, the cute little cocktail, like, drinks with your girlfriends. I think of the glamour of it all, like, which is so funny because that's what I thought it was cool, but then I just became
Yeah.
like a shot, 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 like, not a classy not a
But
classy
to
drinker.
that, if I can interject, okay, so what you're saying, I think that's
Yeah.
good just to have drinks with your girlfriends, but where does the shots part come in? Where does our blackout culture come in?
I personally think that because the US, we're such workaholics, we work to the point where like it's too much. So then the needing to get out of your body becomes more like essential. Like, oh, like I had such a terrible week. Let me just like forget. Whereas like
Yeah,
if you
that's
think
true.
about any other culture, we work to live. Here, like it feels like we work to work some more. Here, it's more like an outlet, whereas anywhere else, it's just a pleasure and it's like a part of life. Yeah, I think a lot of it is just we don't play enough. So when we get to play, we pop the fuck off.
That's true. Yeah, alcohol's just tied into so many things. Like celebrating equals alcohol, going out and having fun equals alcohol. Didn't do something well today, like alcohol. Like everything turns
Yes.
back to that. But I think the biggest epiphany was stepping away from a habitual relationship with alcohol where it's like, okay, we're going to dinner, I'm gonna order a drink, or blah blah blah's ordering a drink, so I'll order a drink to now where I'm only gonna order a drink if I really want to, and it's like a special occasion or like I'm traveling and I'm only gonna have one because I just want to taste it and I just want it to be like a nice little experience. Doesn't have to be
Mhm.
an every night thing. Like, it's not gonna make or break the trip. I remember thinking, like, oh no, like I'm traveling, like of course I'm gonna drink. And that's not really the case anymore.
I love that.
That's been my little transformation. And I wanna hear your thoughts on how you got to your epiphany.
She and I are connected by some sort of witch universe thing. I don't know if we were sisters in our past life. I don't know where it comes from. But the conclusion of my epiphany was the same that I wanted to drink as a cultural experience only moving forward. But mine's a little different because I'm actually thinking of potentially getting on a path of being sober, which I think it's crazy because I was the leader of the alcohol movement. Okay, so let me tell you what happened to me. 2 weeks ago, I had some friends over basically, and it was, like, for the new year, and then I had
Mhm.
the week off, so they stay here for, like, a couple of days, and a lot of, like, our activities revolved around going out to drink, and it was just interesting because now, like, I don't have that desire to want to get drunk. I probably had, like, 3 drinks every time we went out, and then I would switch over to, like, NA options. But even having, like, those 3 alcoholic drinks, I to myself was kinda like, "I didn't really need it." It doesn't give me an extra something of the night. It didn't change anything other than, like, making me sleepier, which is funny enough.
Yeah.
And, mind you, 2, 3 drinks is a crazy change because I used to be like a 6 drink a night type of girl, like a lot of drinking.
Mhm.
So me going to like 2 to 3 is actually like a big improvement. So it kind of got me thinking that like now there's a portion of the night that like I'm sober. I realized that I'm still making all the funny jokes. I'm still the life of the party. I'm still having fun. I'm still doing all the things I could be doing without the extra drinks in my body, if that makes sense. And even, like, we went to a concert, right? And, like, I was having the time of my life. I think I had, like, 2 drinks prior, and then same thing, I stopped drinking and I just switched to, like, non-alcoholic beer. I kid you not, Shane, why did I have the most energy, like, out of all my friends? I was like, "Ah." I
That's what I'm
was, like, the
saying.
same person. So, that kinda got me thinking that I kinda wanna get on a path to maybe become sober.
Yeah, that's
Uh
exciting.
which I think it's crazy, but okay, so I had a couple of thoughts on this. So, 1, becoming sober curious and removing a lot of alcohol out of my life has significantly improved my life.
Yeah.
I mean, in comedy, I'm so much funnier. I think I'm funny because I'm funny, not because I'm drunk, which I really like. In podcasting, like all this. So, creatively, I feel like not drinking allows you to show up as your most authentic, raw self and gaining the confidence to just do that.
Mhm.
I feel like it's, like, the coolest thing, and it has given me even that much more confidence, so I think that has been, like, really, really cool. So, I'm wondering if I was just to be sober, how much better would my content be? Like, even for example, like, the last month, I've started to, like, make silly little, like, TikTok videos. Now I realize that it's super important if I wanna continue to do comedy. It makes you
For
more
sure.
bookable, it makes you more likable, etcetera, but that's another topic. I feel like I'm like, "Oh my god, like, I would have never had the room to do that," which I think it's amazing. So I'm wondering, like, how much more could I create? How much better could I get if I remove it out of my life? And then aside from the creative part of it all, Sheen, like I was thinking, I've never been sober in my life. I'm wondering, like, oh my God, like how much better would my life overall, not just creatively, how much better would it be if I just removed drinking? I I just want I want to be 100% in every aspect of my life, in my relationships, in my day to day, at work, in my creative jobs as well. Like I want to just be the best version of myself. And I'm like, what if that girl is being suppressed by drinking, by a hangover. So I just been thinking about like how I think I want to get on that path. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen overnight. Um,
Yeah.
so people are like, "Oh, Natalia, why are you being so dramatic? Why do you need to label yourself sober?" It's because I'm a girl that needs rules, unfortunately. So even like when I'm out with friends, let's say I'm out with friends in Denver, I'm someone that like will cave into peer pressure. I know myself. So being able to have that label of, "Oh, I don't drink," is, like, something that would help me stick to that goal, if that makes sense.
I feel you 100%. I'm kinda like that too, like, I need the label as, like, a foundation. It helps me just stay. It's interesting
Yeah.
because Tony Robbins was having a podcast with Theo Vaughn, and they were talking about smoking, and then Theo Vaughn quit smoking, and then Tony was like, "If I offered you a cigarette right now, like, what would you say?" And basically, Tony's point would be like that Theo would be like, "Oh, I don't smoke anymore. I'm not a smoker." And he was saying, if you wanna make these habitual changes, you have to change your identity. So it makes sense for you to say, because you don't wanna drink anymore, you're changing your identity to I don't drink, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the one case where, like, having that identity label, I think, would help me. And like I said, I still, like for example, I'm going to Japan in, like, 2, 3 weeks. Of course, I'm gonna try the sake. Like, of course, I'm gonna try the things that make the cultural experience, the food better, the things that enhance it. But I just don't need to be pounding shots at the club in Tokyo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's been, like, a very liberating thought, and I'm excited to explore, and, like, I wanna do more of this, especially with you, Sheen, like, this year. I would love to make all the cocktails that we love so much, like,
Yeah.
the non-alcoholic version because as we know, the non-alcoholic spirit game is fire. There's just so many options to still
Mhm.
have the margarita, the martini, because all in all, I think to me, it's like I love the taste, but I don't need
Same.
the feeling anymore.
Yeah, it's like it's become the easiest era to be non-alcoholic because let's admit it, like it is becoming a trend in the sense that it's gaining a lot of popularity. Because before we were gonna talk about this, I was researching it and just having a look at like, okay, why are people drinking less? Why is this becoming popular? Why is it becoming a trend? And Gen Z is the biggest generation that is sober, curious, and sober-ish. I asked you, I was like, okay, why do you think Gen Z is leading this? Why has there been an awakening? And again, are we doing an overcorrection? Because we are the queens of overcorrection in this generation. But you had a really great contrast, and I'll let you say it.
I said that, for example, our generation, we don't smoke cigarettes, right? Like, at least in
Mhm.
America, we don't. Like, if you see a person smoking a cigarette, it's kind of taboo. It's kind of like, oh, that person's naughty. And a big reason why people are like, oh, I don't smoke, it's because we know 50 years later, after it was all glamorized and everybody was smoking, we realized that it kills, right? So
Yeah,
I was wondering if like Gen Z is seeing the consequences of drinking mentality. We see it in adults, they might see it in their parents, and they're like, I don't really want to subscribe to that. So they're choosing to like be healthier and do something else. So it's very interesting. I feel like every generation has like their poison. And hey, Gen Z might be too young to to have found theirs. Maybe I don't know.
I
Like,
think it's vapes.
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, vapes. Oh my god.
Yeah, Gen Z has
Yeah,
quite a few, like, they have social media, they have vapes, they have, I think, prescription medication, that's probably a big
yeah,
one. But yeah, they have departed from
yeah.
alcohol.
Speaking of like nicotine is crazy because I used to be so addicted to nicotine for like 10-ish years. Um,
Damn, 10 years,
I
girl, that's
know.
crazy.
So long. And I finally like quit last October. So I just realized it's been like a little bit over a year since I haven't touched nicotine and I haven't craved it. I feel like I'm definitely on the path of like becoming a healthy person, which I'm like, oh, that's
Healthy,
nice. Like,
wealthy.
nice to
Yeah,
know.
that is
Yeah.
nice. I also think this is such a cliche, I cringe at it, but, like, as you work on healing yourself and your traumas and all these different things, I think you not only turn into, like, more of a mentally healthy person, but, like, physically healthy because you just have such a stronger relationship with, like, the authentic you, and you love yourself more. So I think it all
I
feeds
love that.
into one another. I had one thing I wanted to say. We've kinda talked about this before, but I was thinking about how I got out of the habitual relationship with alcohol and now I'm entering a more intentional relationship with alcohol. It parallels with our dating patterns, like how if you never take a step back and look at your dating patterns, you're going to keep dating the same guy in a different font. And we've talked about this, like it
Yeah.
just keeps happening and you're going to be like, "Why do I always date assholes?" I think the same is true when it comes to drinking. Like if you don't ever take a step back and look at your relationship with alcohol, you're not going to have an intentional relationship with alcohol. You're just going to basically be in a loop of habit, like a habitual drinking loop where it's like, yeah, I go
Mhm.
out, I always order a drink. I'm with friends, I always order a drink. We're going to a concert, let's take shots. You don't take a step back and see, like, do I actually need this or do I not? And I feel like that was one of the biggest gifts I got in 2022 or 2023, sorry, was having the opportunity of not drinking and being like, okay, wait, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? Just having that step back.
I agree. And there's no right answer for anyone. If drinking is your jam, that's your jam. But it's all about like taking a step back to, to think about, is this for me? Do I love it? Do I not love it?
Yeah.
Being self aware enough so that it becomes a choice because I feel like culturally it has become a choice that was made for us. And if you're like Sheen and I, you might discover that maybe it's not for you, you know?
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean that you don't indulge in different things, right? So like might not indulge in alcohol, but you better believe I am indulging in, like, sugar. Like, I love treats and sweets. Just pick
Yeah.
what works for you, right? I love this conversation so much, and I'm, like, really, really excited to, like, play with mocktails this year and, like, really dive in and, like, invest in just exploring, like, how I can, like, continue to have a drinky poo without the side effects. So I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I'm so with you. It's so funny, I was thinking that too. I was like, my vices have kinda changed, like, I'm not a perfect little baby angel, I don't drink that much anymore, but I have picked up a little new habit. I love Diet Coke. I'm, like, obsessed with Diet Coke, so, yeah, I'm not the face of health and wellness all the time.
Yeah, I love Diet Coke too. I've noticed I actually drink more soda now because I don't drink, but I'm like,
Yeah.
"I'll take it."
Yeah,
I'll take it.
exactly. I am with
Uh,
you.
but I love it. And then honestly, like anything that's gonna improve your life, I think Bradley Cooper said it when he was becoming sober. An interviewer asked him, "Was it hard becoming sober?" And I think he said, "No, not hard, beautiful." And I like really, really like that because rather than see it as like a challenge, I'm seeing it as like this is a very beautiful thing and it doesn't feel daunting at all. It feels like very exciting. So love that.
I also think, just to add to that, that everything feels really hard in the beginning, but once you have spent time doing it, it becomes so easy and part of you. Like, as humans, we're so malleable that whatever change you're seeking, whether it's alcohol or something else, the beginning is the hardest part.
Yeah.
And then it gets easier.
It does. I think that's all we have for today for this little topic. This conversation meant a lot to me, and I'm super excited. Let us know if you guys are sober curious, or maybe if you're thinking about going sober. Yeah, we would love to chat. It's something that we're very passionate about, so we look forward to like sharing an update in this, maybe like a couple months from now or a year from now, and seeing like how things have progressed and how life has slowly changed. So, yeah, we love you so much, little rats.
I know I'm excited to see where we are a year from now. Yes. Love you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.